Shockofgod. 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 Shockofgod, let me teach you, Shockofgod. Let me teach you, that's all I want to do. Shockofgod, let me teach you, Shockofgod. Let me teach you, cause I feel for you. Shockofgod, let me tell you why your faith ain't true. Don't fight it, bub, cause I feel for you. Shockofgod, let me tell you what I know is true. I want to help you, want to teach you. Can you shut up, dude? I've been asked to address this question, as posed by Shockofgod on an atheist radio show in Florida.
So here's the question. What proof or evidence can you guys provide that atheism is accurate and correct?
The proof that atheism is accurate and correct is that we atheists have been unmoved by the arguments of theism. You see, atheism is basically the position that theism is not plausible to a given individual. And at its most fundamental, that's all that it is. Atheism is accurate because when all of the theistic evidence has been proved wanting to a person seeking answers, atheism is all that is left. If a person finds the theistic answers satisfying, then that person will not be an atheist. Atheism is correct because it is a valid option for those who are not moved by theistic claims. Atheism is therefore accurate and correct for those persons who do not find satisfaction in theistic claims. Shockofgod later says this.
Would you agree you have not provided proof or evidence that atheism is accurate and correct? You've provided opinion?
Atheism is an opinion. What he should be asking is what proof or evidence do you have that theistic beliefs are inaccurate or incorrect? That's a whole wide open question, and I have a ton of videos addressing exactly that question. But herein comes the Reader's Digest version. From antiquity, humans have tried to answer difficult questions such as why are we here? How did we come to exist? What is the cause of the universe? What is death? Etc. When the answers weren't easy, they satisfied themselves with comforting lies. Clearly, not every story of gods and spirits and an afterlife ever dreamed up can be true. However, it's also not necessarily the case that any of the myriad fables is true. They can all be false, and if any is falsifiable, it must be rejected. We know, for example, that it's not true that the world is supported on the back of a giant elephant. This fact has been scientifically established. So we can reject most, if not all, of the supernatural claims associated with that claim. We also know that the earth and Father Time did not give birth to titans who then birthed gods that live on Olympus. Along that same vein, we now know that light and energy have qualities of mass and wavelength. By studying such things as dark matter and physics and cosmology, to name a few, we know that the universe is several billion years old. We understand geologically, chemically, and through various studies such as plate tectonics and seismology that the Earth is also much older than the biblical Genesis story suggests. Other scientific advances, such as genetics and paleontology, tell us that all modern life evolved from earlier forms. This means that the biblical account of God is inaccurate, at least so far as the story of Adam and Eve is concerned. Unfortunately, the Bible gives a direct lineage and account of God's actions that flow directly from that first description of creation. If the story of Adam is false, then the story of Noah is false. If the story of Noah is false, then the accounts of Abraham are suspect. Moses loses credibility. David fails. And if David fails, so does Jesus. Since Jesus is required to be a descendant of David, it doesn't help either that the Bible can't even agree as to how Jesus supposedly descended from David, giving two contradictory lineages. The fables of Jesus talking to God and Satan and angels, and the myths of his miraculous actions all depend on the veracity of the Old Testament. And since there is no truth to be found in that earlier book, there can be none in the latter. Once this happens, the theist is left with only apologetics, intelligent design, Kalam, Anselm, the argument for morality, Pascal's wager. But one by one, these arguments also fail. Consequently, the atheist is justified in rejecting literal theistic claims about the Bible, the revealed God, and for many of the same reasons about the Quran. So all that's left is to redefine what you mean by God and argue that pantheism or deism or some other less revelation-dependent version of the God concept could still be correct and accurate. However, that's not theism. Theism relies on revelation, and all theistic claims for that revelation have been laid to waste. Now, would you like to hear why deism is wrong?